Great to have your company at morning at NTV Sport. I'm Derrick Ntege. Joining me is Darren to talk the Uganda Cranes and much more. Morning, Darren.
Morning to you, Derrick.
Now it's been confirmed Uganda Cranes will play a friendly with Togo, that's in West Africa, before that crucial World Cup qualifier against the Black Stars of Ghana. The last time they were here, it was Farouk Mir and Geoffrey Massa that got the goals. I'm sure they'll be in the squad. Then are we seeing more of the same? I think it was a 3-0 scoreline at the end of the day.
A 3-0 scoreline in Kampala, and of course the reason why Togo is not in the group stages of the qualification to the 2018 World Cup is because of Uganda. At the preliminary stage, or what you should say, the sieve that got the countries into the group stages, Uganda did beat up on Togo, 1-0 if you remember, at the Stade Kyeyune in Lome, as well as the other victory that was followed up just a few days later when Farouk Mir scored the brace there. I think the day he announced himself on the national scene for Uganda, because some of us had seen him before. And the goal that he did score in Togo, I think, is the one that he gave Uganda the bit of optimism, considering the fact that the history between Uganda and Togo, Uganda had never beaten on Togo until when they went to Lome and they won there last year in November. And from then on, the confidence has grown for this national team, eventually qualifying for the Nations Cup. Now, because of the contacts that the coach, that is Micho Sredojevic, has with all these other different countries, and probably where I would give him credit for what he's done, perhaps better than his predecessors that include Bobby Williamson, as well as Lazo Zaba, has been the contacts he has all over the continent. It's why Uganda can be able to play all these friendly matches, something that is known to happen. That's why Kenya was here the other week before Uganda beat Comoros. The game ended goalless. Uganda had to play Zimbabwe before they went on to play Botswana, if you remember, within this same just concluded 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualification campaign. Same thing again. I think before they played Togo that game, if I remember, Uganda still had a friendly somewhere. Should have been, I think, against Niger. Same thing against Burkina Faso. Now you find the number of friendly matches that the Cranes do get is more of the same. You'd say Uganda also gets friendlies. They honor international match days like all the other different countries do. And I think that's why I would give him credit. And of course, one of the memorable victories, if you remember, in West Africa last year, was that goal by Farouk Mir, as Vincent Enyema celebrated his 100th cap in goal for Nigeria. But also, it was the same day they were opening that new stadium, the Akwa Ibom Stadium in Uyo, in Nigeria, and Mia scored on that day. Uganda is the country that had been invited. Eventually, they won on that day away from home. And I think it will give the boys confidence, perhaps even to restructure the team. Mitchell was talking of something of how players were coming from the pre-season, off-season, and of course the first game they didn't play that well against Comoros. Of course, they may have gotten the result, but it was not that exceptional, and maybe they would love to better that come next month, October 4th, Uganda against Togo, before they fly to Ghana to take on the Black Stars.
One person that has not had an exceptional season at the Philip Omondi has been Sizo Kuti. He has since completed a move, at least by yesterday evening, to Ondu Paraka, newly promoted Ondu Paraka, on loan. Now, in just maybe 50 seconds, we talk about Sizo Kuti. Wasn't he at the best of luck at the Philip Omondi, and is he going to revive his career, the goal-scoring form we've known him to have at Ondu Paraka?
When I was in Arua last week on Friday to catch that game between Ondu Paraka and KCCA, one of the things that the fans did yell out was why Sizo Kuti was not playing, and considering the fact is their own boy in the KCCA jersey, why he wasn't starting games. And of course, information leaking through KCCA stating that probably wasn't in the good books for the coach, that is Mike Mutebi, and also the form itself, it had faded, because remember when he left Express to join KCCA with 8 goals after the first run last season in the Uganda Premier League, things were a bit rosy for him, but eventually it all crumbled. He got injured in the first games that he did play. I think he played against Sowan and Police. By the time KCA made it to the semi-finals of the Uganda Cup, Okuti was nowhere to be seen in the starting lineup for the club, yet the club had spent a lot of money. Now he heads to Ondu Paraka for about 6 months, where he will be, and that's, I think, until the end of the first round. Eventually he'll be returning for the second round, as the transfer window for the Uganda Premier League does wrap up September 22nd. That should be next week. So Onduparaka have their own boy, that is Sizo Kuti. I have a feeling he'll be out there to make a statement and probably to help Onduparaka add to their first victory that they got against KCC.
Speaking of statement, the Kenyans have made a statement in the Sekafa Women's Championship. They're banging in the goals, but our focus is going to remain on the Crested Cranes. All they need is a draw against Burundi to join Kenya in the semi-final. 9-0 against Zanzibar, well, everybody's beating them, but how tricky is this fixture against Burundi? They're going to have the home support, the fans behind them. How easy will it be for Majida Nantanda's team?
I think she's going to take it with a bit of caution, because we are the Crested Cranes faced the Burundian side that did beat Zanzibar 10 goals to 1, and Uganda itself did beat Zanzibar 9 goals to 0. Now the goal difference is the same, but should the two teams draw, Burundi advance because they too lost to Kenya, the same scoreline, because Kenya beat Uganda 4-0, they beat Burundi 4-0. Now Uganda and Burundi all had 9 goals, had a margin of 9 goals over Zanzibar, and right now they'll be fighting for the semi-final slot. That I do think Uganda should probably utilize the 12th man in Njeru, I should say, because I think Burundi have got the upper hand on this one. They hold a big advantage over the side that is the Crested Cranes, and probably the result, I won't be shocked if Uganda fails to win. I will not be shocked, but I may be surprised if Uganda wins. The most thing I think of is a stalemate that could fall into the hands of into Burundi's favor to move into the semi-finals.
The FIFA Big League gets off today, but I think we'll talk that on our respective Twitter handles. That's at Allan, Darren, and at Derrick _ Ntege. But now they're rugby sevens. These girls, these women have gone through a lot to make it to the continent. They got the money finally through Mr. Mohozi, the first son, yesterday evening. But why does it have to come to this? I mean, almost every week in, week out, we're talking about the funding, and it wasn't a lot of money they were lacking. It was just 700,000 or a little under, and they couldn't come up with it until Mr. Mohozi came to their rescue.
It's something we've talked about, I think, for the past, when did the Olympic Games end? They ended on August 12th. Today is September 15th, and at least for 1 month we've talked of, I think, 4 teams that have struggled. We've talked to the national team coach for the Cranes, Mitchell. We've talked to the Cranes themselves because the players didn't get their bonuses that they had expected. We've talked to the same team, the lead rugby Cranes will be heading to the Princes, to the Rugby Africa Sevens, where they do play Madagascar, Tunisia, as well as Kenya. And we've talked before, the under 18 national basketball team for the girls that struggled to go to Egypt, and they were eventually bailed out by the Egyptian embassy on the other side back in Cairo, and that's how they managed to play at the Africa tournament that had attracted about only 8 countries. Within the same spell, we've talked to the Olympic team.
Have you mentioned the junior rugby side? The
junior rugby side themselves. Now, those are about 5 teams in 1 month. And of course, all this, the spotlight has come at the time just after the Olympic Games. Eventually, the Cranes have qualified. Now, it's been the talk of town. But we've talked all this through of how giving the 1 million shillings to and you're bailing out the lead rugby Cranes. Well, you'd give a tick. Thank you for your generosity. That's good, but the most important thing is the structure, where we've explained of how sport has got to be an industry, where it's got to grow, it's got to attract investors. If there's an investor that can come here and make medicine, then what about the talent we do have? There's an investor that should come here, and maybe even better, or even ourselves, because I don't think we've been honest to ourselves, especially the sports industry, to try and put it where it's supposed to be. For the minister not to inject 2 million, for NCS not to come and bail out the team with 3 million, or the first son, as we say right about now, and just because of his interest in rugby, because he's caught a few rugby games over the previous years.
One person that has also been catching a few cricket games is Steve Tikolo. It's not so often that we talk the senior side, the cricket Cranes on the show, but what's coming out from the camp? What does Steve Tikolo have up his sleeve?
For close to 2 months, the Cricket Queens have been in preparation for the ICC World Cricket League Division 3 that will come up later on in January. And ever since Steve Tikolo, the Kenyan legend, got the job as the national team coach, he's got down to business. He's always been in Lugogo. I haven't made it to Lugogo on a weekday and haven't found him there. Either I've found the players or I have found him. That means he's always been there. And eventually, he managed to sieve out 17 players out of over 30 players that managed to come up in training. And eventually, those are the 17 players that will go to take part in at the Four Nation Invitational event that will be in Kenya and gets underway over this weekend as the Cricket Queens prepare for the World Cricket League Division 3, a tournament that the Cricket Queens have mastered to win. They won it in 2007 in Darwin in Australia, and years later, they won it again in 2013. They came second in 2013 in Bermuda after losing to Nepal in one of the round-robin games. And later on, they did the same thing when the tournament moved to Malaysia. I think in 2014, they did the same thing and won the Division 3. The biggest stumbling block has been at the Division 2, and probably to add those results of the G-Next Youth Challenge, where some of the players that have been playing in these tournaments actually have managed to earn cause, like Zephaniah Renaitwe Katunji, the MVP at the just concluded Schools Cricket Week, as his school, Mukono Parents, managed to win the title via the boardroom decision. Of course, the rules that had been set because they didn't play the final between them and Ginger SS.
We talk the University derby now, UCU against Kyeyune Titans at the YMCA basketball court later today. What sort of form are these two sides heading into this one? Sort of form are they in, and new injuries? And if you had to pick the manager's mind, how are you going to approach this game?
Over the weekend, UCU Cannons did lose to the Falcons 60-53, and of course that was their first defeat in the second round. But as well, it meant they have now lost a total of 4 matches out of 15 they've played because they've only won 11. And on the other side, they face a KIU side that has won 12 games in a row. That charge that they've had ever since losing the first 3 games of the season, they've picked up results here and there, including shocking the City Oilers recently. And I think with that run of form that they do have, Hamza Nyamboga and his lads, I think they've got the upper advantage going into this one. And it's only not because of the form that they've had, but also to add the fact that UCU themselves have struggled offensively for quite some time this season. And considering the fact that their coach Nick Natuhereza is a strict disciplinarian, some of the players have actually not turned up at the games because they've been stopped from playing due to disciplinary issues. For example, arriving late for the games, and of course he'll try and be strict here and there and probably send out a message to all the other players. That's how players like Brian Namake didn't manage to play on Sunday. Eventually they went on to lose 60-53. But maybe they will come out to make a statement. Finalists last year, and of course now everyone has got to put a firm grip onto the position they would love to take heading into the playoffs.
You mentioned statement. Leicester have made a statement in that they did make one yesterday in the Champions League, 3-0 winners against Club Brugge of Belgium, Maris 2, and I think it was Albrighton with the first. What did you make of that performance after coming off that defeat against Liverpool over the weekend? 4-1 and now 3-0 winners.
I certainly feel it was a very, very good performance from Leicester City, sadly in the wrong tournament for me, because all the challenges we've seen Leicester City have, have been with 1, finding goals, 2, defending, 3, eventually being that dominant, like they were in against Club Brugge away from home yesterday. And for me, I thought they got a very, very good result with Mark Albrighton scoring, Riyad Mahrez a free kick, and eventually scoring a penalty, as they managed to pick their first points in their first match ever in the UEFA Champions League. Now, the result I thought is one they should have gotten in the Premier League, and probably began that roller coaster of results that they should probably be having in the Premier, because in the Premier League they are struggling. Now they go and get a good result in the Champions League, This is going to increase their confidence in the Champions League. I don't think their squad can match the expectations in the Premier League and the Champions League. And even if they do very well, they are likely to drop into the Europa League phase with the result that they got away from home, because I think they will actually try and be better at home. They'll try and be better at home where they will be. So for me, I think they got the result in the wrong tournament. They should have gotten such a result in the Premier League, but maybe it is a motivational factor, considering the fact that they were woeful against Liverpool when they conceded 4 goals to 1, and probably all those other results, including Tottenham Hotspur, who are in front of a record crowd at the Wembley last evening, but failed to beat up on Monaco. Toby Alderweireld's goal couldn't alter anything, as Monaco went on to win 2 goals to 1, as well as Real Madrid, the defending champions, who came from down in the dying minutes, in the final minutes, because in the 88th minute, Sporting was leading 1-0. Then Ronaldo bangs in the equalizer. Eventually, Alvaro Morata got the winner, as Real Madrid went on to win 2-1. But in the same group, on the other end, Dortmund got it easy, beating Legia Warsaw away from home 6 goals to 0, as they managed to get to a winning start, considering the fact that Dortmund were not in the Champions League last season. They played in the Europa League, the 2013 runners-up, and probably more action later on today in Europe. The Europa League, the people's favorite, Manchester United, playing ladies' night football, as many have called it. They are away in Holland. They do take on Feyenoord, and probably to brush up that loss that they suffered against their noisy neighbors, Manchester City.
Your favorite, not the people's favorite. Now, United will be involved in Thursday night football tonight against Kyeyune. That and much more come up later on in the Omumudi Gwemizanyo, and tomorrow, same time. See you then. Have a good morning.